Good morning, men. Craig James here from masculinebydesign.com. Give me a follow on Twitter at masculinedesign. This morning's message is one for all of you silent complainers out there. A silent complainer is somebody who has anonymous accounts on social media and complains about the ills of society that they can't stand. But in their personal life, they might complain within the home. They might talk to their wife or their children about the things that they hate to see going on in society. And then they get out in the real world. They get out in their place of business, out in the community, and they allow the fear of what others might think of them or do to them to gag their mouths, to gag them from speaking, from saying the things that they believe to be true, from speaking about what they don't like going on in the world around them, or offering productive solutions to that. You hear men complain all the time about how men are being treated in society today, how masculinity is being vilified, how all men are being accused of being serial sexual harassers, serial assaulters, mass murderers, and all of these things that some men do are being ascribed to all men and making them all guilty by association, because it's not the man who does it, it's his masculinity. Right. So these men are upset about that sentiment, that prevailing sentiment that seems to have taken hold in society. But what do they do about it? They don't talk about it. They don't confront issues at work when something comes up that is skewed against men. How do you expect to change the world? Tweeting behind an anonymous account on social media. Think you're going to change the world being anon on social media and spouting off platitudes and just having a bunch of men who think like you do gather around and pump their fists and say, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Amen, brother. That's not how change is made. Change is made through confrontation. You got to be ready to get out there and willing to get out there, say what needs to be said, and face whatever consequences might come of that. Now, I know, guys. I'm really stretching here. I'm asking you to do something that might hold some consequences. Might. Yeah, you might get in trouble. You might get in trouble at work. You might have the blue-haired lady in HR call you in to have a talk with you because you said something that might be more aligned with conservative values. You might. More than likely you won't. But what is the cost? What is the cost of you not speaking up? What is the cost of you not letting others know where you stand? There's a cost internally as you find discontentment inside of yourself because you are not saying what needs to be said. I've said this before, guys. This doesn't mean you're a jackass. You don't have to be a complete jackass with the way that you speak to people. You don't have to respond maliciously, even if you're talking to somebody who is spreading malice in your direction. You can maintain frame, stay calm, speak logically, speak on principle, and do so in a manner that is respectful and civil. Most of the time, if you're engaging in that way, you don't have to worry about any severe consequences. It's when you take things too far and you speak disrespectfully and you start personally attacking others, that's when you get into trouble. But even if that risk is there of you finding some negative consequence for speaking your mind, I will still argue that it's worth it. Where would America be today if those initial colonizers who founded this great country didn't speak up? They sat back and said, yeah, you know what? I know the British, they're taxing us without representation. I know they're quartering themselves in our homes. I know they're oppressing us. But, you know, if I speak up, something bad might happen. They might hurt one of us. We would still be oppressed by a foreign government. We would still be getting taxed, likely at a very excessive rate. There are consequences when we don't speak up. And we're seeing that play out around us. We're seeing men not speak up, not say what needs to be said, because they're afraid of consequences, which most of the time don't even exist. They're built up in your head. They're not going to be actualized. And even if they are minor compared to the consequences that the men who have gone before us have had to face in order to stand for truth. Now, I know some of you are going to say, yeah, but, you know, when times get really, really rough, you know, when it's to that point where I have to stand up, then I'll do it. You know, then I'll finally put my foot down and say enough is enough. Really? When the stakes are higher, when you might face death, not just loss of employment or somebody thinking negatively about you, when your life is on the line, that's when you're going to speak up? But not now? Sorry, brother, but that's illogical. That is nonsensical. And why would you not speak up now so it doesn't get to that point? The reason that society has been able to go on the slide that it's been going on, a slide that is against men, that is against conservative values, is because those of us who are men and those of us who ascribe to conservative values are not speaking up. We're not standing our ground. Find ourselves being silent complainers, complaining to ourselves and to those who sympathize with our position, and very few of us getting into the fold and actually doing something to try to change the tide. There are men out there doing something, and they are having an impact. But there are far too many men that I see engaging online and in my personal life that have disengaged from that battle. That there is a war being waged right now, men. There is a war being waged against you because you are a masculine man by nature. There is a war being waged against you if you believe in traditional conservative values where the man leads and the woman supports his leadership in the home, or that life is sacred and that abortion is murder, that children to be brought up optimally requires a home that has their biological mother and father present and filling their proper roles in that marriage. There's a target on your back. It's not going to go away just because you don't talk about it. It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because the other side they're not going to stand down. They're going to be more emboldened the more you sit back and refuse to speak up. So my admonishment for you today, men, is to start standing up, engage yourself in this culture war, because you're in it and you're a part of it and you're engaged whether you like it or not. If you are a man, and you are a Christian man in particular, it is time you stand up. Stand for what you believe in. Stand for truth, regardless of what the consequences might be. You see the men in the Bible who stood for truth in the face of great consequence, being burned alive, being torn apart by lions, among others, yet they stood their ground. So don't come talk to me about how your corporation might look down upon your thoughts, your conservative values, and so you can't speak up. I don't want to hear it. That is not an excuse. We are called to stand for truth, and we are called to stand for it regardless of the consequences. That's what it is to be a man. As men, we guard society. We guard the values that a culture has. We are supposed to be the stalwarts who stand for truth and make sure that when society starts to slide away from that truth and away from what will bring ourselves and those around us the greatest value, that we stand up and we defend those values. Men are not doing that today, and it's time that that ends. If you agree with me or you disagree with me, leave me a comment below this video. If you enjoy this video, make sure you subscribe, share it on social media, email it to your friends and family members, email it to the men in your life who could stand to hear this message. Make sure you check out my newsletter by going to masculinebydesign.com/newsletter, where I share deeper insights into my own life, the ways that I'm living authentic as a man, and how to go about doing that in your own life as well. Finally, don't forget to follow me on Twitter @masculinedesign. And that will do it for today's video, men. Thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Craig James from masculinebydesign.com. I am out.